Yo, yo, yo. Welcome everybody to another episode of Snake Cinema Podcast, the first episode of the year. I'm your host, Prince Elias, and I'm super excited about today's episode. Today's episode is a great episode. I've been looking forward to both topics, but it's also been intercepted with a wave of emotions. If you're in the reptile community, you know why, and I will touch on that in a little bit. Let's see who is here. Father Dunn, thank you for tapping in. Good morning, Bosa, my compound brother. What's up? Thank you for tapping in. Come on, Justin. Justin, welcome. Thank you for tapping in. Thank you to the early birds. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, so let's go ahead and get some stuff out the way. This episode and all episodes is brought to you by our sponsors, Mutation Station and Lucy Land Ball Pythons. They are the best rodent providers in the Memphis area, surrounding areas. Argue with your mother. And they also have some dope clutches of snakes. Follow them on Morph Market. Follow them on Instagram. They're not so active on Instagram, but you can see some of the stuff they've been working on. And they have a lot more coming soon. I've seen a couple of babies in the incubator the other day when I went to go pick up my rodents, and oh my gosh, they are into some dope projects, and I cannot wait till they release some of them. I might end up I might end up be getting one or two more snakes by the end of 2024 from them, but I got to finish paying off the rest of them from last year. But anyway, shout out to the channel sponsors, my support, my friends Nikki and Jason, as well as their daughter Kayla, Lucy Lamball Pythons. I appreciate y'all for always supporting your boy. Life and animal updates. If you haven't been watching my latest Snake Prince vlogs, the grandkids are officially home. I went and got them from Mutation Station um, during the Christmas break, like after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, and I got them. They are home. They are settled. And as of last night, they have eaten for us, for me. Um, so super excited about that. Don't call me out, Father Doug. Yeah, I will. I will be getting another snake or two from them. Brittany, thank you for tapping in. And so now that we got this, also, this life update doesn't mean anything to anyone but me, but I got a new phone. Um, and no, it's not iPhone. I'm still team Samsung Galaxy. I got the latest one, the S23. And the last phone I had, I bought in 2020 during the pandemic, and it was the Galaxy S20. So I finally upgraded after 3 going on 4 years. So that life update doesn't mean anything to nobody but myself. I'm just happy to finally get a new phone. Because the other one's been through a lot in life. And then anything else for me? Update. Oh, duh. We got new merch. So Snake Cinema Podcast officially has merch. We have hoodies, t-shirts in both adult and kid sizes. The hoodies for adults go up to 5XLs and shirts. And then the kids, I guess kids they cap out at 1XL. But anyways, we have shirts. We also have the original Creative Reptiles logo. And we also have the Jafar logo, the one with the snake and the camera. Um, we have that logo, and we also have the Creative Reptiles Pride, Trans Pride Edition logo. All t-shirts, hoodies. Let me see if I can pull up my bonfire right quick. I probably delete. I did. But it's bonfire.com, I believe, backslash creative dash. We'll wear. Links are always in the description of my videos. The links are in the description of all my videos on my channel, as well as my Instagram. So check that out. Want to snag you some merch, as well as also I been playing around. Printify is my best friend. Printify is the best. I've been playing around with different logos. There's my official logos, or the stuff I play with AI, and I got a new backpack. And let me the reason why I'm showing y'all this backpack is because it's gonna go into the next topic I'm gonna talk about real quick. Virtual background, turn it off. Okay, um so basically Sand, Sea of Serpents. They're having an auction fundraiser for his wife Tiff, who is battling cancer, stage 4 breast cancer. And so I will be donating some stuff off my merch store, 2 t-shirts and a backpack. So I'm gonna show y'all what the backpack actually looks like. Now the backpack itself, it won't have Snake Cinema Podcast on there. It will actually have the Jafar logo on here, as well as you get the Jafar logo t-shirt and the Snake Cinema Podcast, this logo, the main logo, on a t-shirt as well. Those 3 items will be auctioned off. I just want to show y'all what the backpack looks like, because this is just a little sample. So you got the 2 pockets, you got the flap that goes over, you got the outside pocket, and you got the big main compartment. It's very spacious, very dope. But I just want to show y'all because but again, it won't have this particular icon. This is just something I created with AI, just playing around. It will have the Jafar logo, the snake with the jeans and t-shirt where it holding the camera. You'll have that on there, as well as a t-shirt with that same logo, and a t-shirt with this logo, the Snake Cinema Podcast. They will be in the auction. I've already sent pictures out to Kent at Craft Brewery, because he's also helping with the auction, just so they can promote it. But that's to raise money for Tiff and Stan, Sea of Serpents, on their auction that is happening February 10th. So please tune in. And I believe that auction is going to be on live on Ken LMK Reptiles YouTube channel officially February 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern. So you will see some Snake Cinema Podcast merch if you want to auction for that, to snag the backpack or the t-shirt, or the backpack and a t-shirt. I'm not sure how they're going to do it when they do the auction, how they're going to auction it off, but that's what I'm donating. So just want to put that out there. Just gonna, yes, Stan and Tiff, we love you. Love, love, love. Please send them love. Speaking of which, that's our first segment before I get to the reviews. Let me get that banner. Fuck cancer. Fuck cancer. As y'all know, unless you're living under a rock, which I doubt, if you're in the reptile community, you are living under a rock. Brian Barczyk is at the end of his battle with pancreatic cancer. They uploaded a video yesterday, and they also uploaded a video today. But the video yesterday was basically his goodbye video to the fans, to the world, to the community, saying that by the time we watch this video, he will be entering hospice, or he will be in hospice. And if you know anything about medical, hospice is really where they stop trying to, the doctors stop trying to save you, and all they're trying to do is make you comfortable so you can spend your final days as little pain as possible, and peacefully with your family. So um, we haven't got any official news yet from his official people yet. So I'm assuming he is still with us right now, breathing, alive. But we know that he will be transitioning from the physical real soon, and it's been very heartbreaking to watch that. So prayers go out to his family, prayers go out to Lori and Noah and their daughter, and the whole family, the grandkids, everybody, and to his crew, the people who've been on the vlogs with him, the Reptarium, the Legacy, all his employees, his friends, his families, the people in the reptile community, the breeders that know him personally, who's been knowing him for his entire career and have a special bond with them. My prayers go out to you guys. Um, and I'm just happy that I was able to meet him and thank him for influencing me. I wouldn't have started Snake Prince Vlogs if it wasn't for Brian Barczyk. And he made it, he confirmed to the world that it is possible to live out your dreams, chase your dreams, and work with animals. Like growing up, I always thought the only way I could work with animals is being at a zoo. And Brian Barczyk has proven to us that that is not the case. You don't have to work at an AZA zoo to work with animals. You don't have to go the traditional route to work with animals. You don't have to just be a vet. Although we do need more vets, especially with reptiles. We need more certified vets who know what they're talking about. But there are other ways, other options to live out your dreams. And he was a big inspiration to me. And I will always remember the day I met him at 2022 Fall Tinley. And, you know, the little 5-10 minute conversation we had will live on forever in my heart and in my brain. And again, thank you, Brian. Thank you. Thank you so much for everything. You will forever be my hero. Uh, and also, we still have, like I mentioned about the auction, we still have a community member, someone in our community that's still fighting cancer, and we pray with them and their family. We pray with Stan and Tiff. Um, and I just want everybody in the community, especially those in Florida who live near them, who live close to them, to just wrap your arms around them, give them love, be there for them, especially we know that Tiff is going through a lot physically, mentally, emotionally. She's going through a lot. But let's not forget that her soldier, her other half, her best friend, her provider, her hubby Stan. Let's not forget him. And so for all the men out there, wrap your arms around Stan. Wrap your arms around Stan. Text him, call him, let him know you love him. Because he needs that too. He's watching the love of his life suffer and go through pain. And so let's not forget him. You know that saying that people always say, check on your strong friends. Stan we know he's a strong man. We know he's a strong man, but check on him, be there for them. If you know them personally, you live near them, give them a hug, check on them, send flowers, make sure they got food. Just make sure they're okay. And for men, please give each other the safe space to vent, to be emotional. Stan, if you ever just want to cry, scream, whatever, hey, my DMs are always open. My messages are always open. Hit me up. I'm a great listener. I'll cry with you, brother. Just check on your strong friends. Don't forget the other halves of the people who are suffering. Just like let's not forget about Lori with the whole Brian situation. Let's not forget about Stan with the Tiff situation, and and just send them your love and your embrace, and just be there for them. And whew, I'm not gonna cry on this episode. I'm not. But just know, Stan and Tiff, y'all gonna see this eventually. I love y'all. I'm with y'all. Um, in spirit and emotions. And I know that the doctors gave y'all a bad report. I don't know the details. I try not to pry into people's private lives, but I will say that I do believe in miracles. I do believe in miracles, even with the worst of the news. So we're just praying for the best. We're not giving up. We're going to continue to fight on, and we'll hold you up. We'll hold you up. We're there for you. Let's just give and spread love, and just know that you're not fighting this battle alone. We are with you. So again, fuck cancer all across the board, whether it's childhood cancer, breast cancer, pancreatic, fuck it all. We would not back down and let this defeat us. Whew, I'm not crying. I'm not crying. Mm, okay, let's see. Pressure Priest said, from my understanding, he has already passed from what in the group chat, RIP Brian Barczyk. Yes. I did hear that too. I did hear that too from various group chats and various people, but I don't want to confirm or say anything on my platforms until they have said. But it could be a possibility that he's already transitioned on physically from this world. And again, thank you, Brian Barczyk, for being my hero and a lot of people's heroes and inspiration. And we love you. We love you. We know that you're still going to live on in spirit. Your legacy is going to still live on. and prayer and love to the family, the people who are close to him, his kids, his wife. Everybody just hold her up. Lori is such a sweet, kind. So I know she plays the background in a lot of things, but she was just so kind when I met her, and that whole crew, they were just amazing, amazing, nice people, and let's just not forget Lori. Reptile community, let's not forget Lori. Let's always hold her up because she's going to go through a lot. I think they've been together since high school. They've been high school sweethearts, and so losing a loved one, grief like that. Let's just not leave her by the wayside. Reptile community, let's hold her up and be there for her. And when she eventually comes out and speaks to us, comes out of you know her grief, let's continue to support her, support BHB, support the Legacy Aquarium, support the Reptarium, because um she's gonna need it. She's gonna need it. So I said I'm not gonna cry. Fuck this shit. Yes, thank you. Thank you for putting in the link for Sea of Serpents Instagram stand and Tiff. And let me go ahead and also put in the chat in the comments the link to their GoFundMe. I already have it queued up because I now have it as a default in my descriptions of all my YouTube videos. So when you go to my YouTube videos, it is now defaulted always in the description for that GoFundMe. So please support Stan and Tiff's GoFundMe. If you don't want to auction or buy anything from the auction that they're going to be hosting, at least donate a couple of dollars to the GoFundMe, because they're going to need it for the medical bills, the medications, all that jazz. So thank you, Justin, for putting all that in. So so let's stop with all the emotions because we're here for movie reviews. We're here for movie reviews and music talk. Uh, and so let's go ahead and get started with the first one. The Color Purple. The Color Purple review. I'm gonna try to get myself together. Uh, but let's see. So Christmas Day. Christmas Day was the release of The Color Purple. And I just need to give a little background because there's been a lot of confusion and conversations online, especially on Facebook. Why do we even still have Facebook? Uh, and Twitter, there's been a lot of confused comments, people not understanding. Like they're like, why are they remaking The Color Purple? We don't need no more remakes. We don't need this. We don't need that. And it's like, hold on. Before you go on your remake rants, how about you just shut the fuck up and Google? Google is your best friend, people. Google. First of all, some people are like gun ho to never remake The Color Purple because the first film was such a classic, but they forget that The Color Purple was the first a book. Uh, and clearly from a lot of rants that I've been seeing on social media, some of y'all never read the book, so you missed a lot. Um, but The Color Purple is based off a book of from Alice Walker, um, that she wrote, or it was released in 1982. So the book was released in 1982, and then it was adapted to film in 1985, directed by Steven Spielberg and starring Whoopi Goldberg. And so when a lot of people are like, why are they remaking The Color Purple? What's going on? Like, we don't need that. The classic was great on its own. First of all, this movie that just came out on Christmas is not a remake of the 1985 classic. It is actually the movie version of the Broadway musical. Now, the Broadway musical was screenplay adapted, written by Marsha Norman. And I believe my sister's a theater nerd. She loves Broadway plays. She's seen the musical live. Um, I believe that the musical adaptation was released first in 2005 on Broadway. And starring a lot of the people who are in the movie, like Fantasia, and amongst other people. And then they did a reprise and plays when stuff leave Broadway or leave the stage and it's gone for a stint, a period of time. It comes right back. I think it's called a reprise. It did a reprise, starring Cynthia Erivo as Celie. I believe they said 2012, 2013. So it's had multiple stints in Broadway. And so this movie that came out during Christmas is based off the Broadway musical, not the 1985 Whoopi Goldberg, Steven Spielberg film, the musical with the songs and stuff from the Broadway play. So I just want to give that little context and background because a lot of people were bitching and complaining, talking about some, why are they remaking the classic? You can't replace Whoopi Goldberg, y'all. And it's like, calm down, calm your titties, because it's not based off that. They did take certain elements from like nods and Easter eggs, and cameos from the 1985, but it's pretty much the film version of the Broadway musical. Also, another reason why I cannot stand y'all who complain about remakes, remixes, reboots, and stuff, um, and complain about things that happen in the film is because y'all never researched the source material of which it came from, i.e., people were bitching and upset and going on rants because of the gay lesbian love story between Suge Avery and Celie, the main characters, the women in here. And sorry, y'all, but this shows that none of y'all read the book. I read the book. And if you think the musical that came out was gay, it went into graphic details in the book. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what to tell y'all. And even Steven Spielberg and Whoopi Goldberg has came out and said that they wanted to put their love story in their version of the film, but in 1985 they couldn't because of the times. People didn't like their gay shit in movies and stuff like that. So Steven Spielberg had to water that down a lot when he directed that film. So even they came out and confirmed and said, yeah, it is a gay love story. Sorry, y'all. But some of y'all just never read the book. And Alice Walker is she's a black author, an icon, but she's also openly bisexual. So yeah. So not only does this book talk about that aspect, but the book is based off the relationship between black women and black men. It can show the beauty of those relationships. It can show the toxicity of those relationships. Even the Steven Spielberg movie, as much as people praise it now as a classic, it was boycotted a lot. It was boycotted by the NAACP back in the day. For those who may not know or done the research, like black people were not fucking with that movie. For one, because it was directed by Steven Spielberg, because they were like, why is a white man telling our stories? Why is a white man making a film about our struggles and our strive and stuff like that? But also, um, a lot of black men boycotted and bitched about the movie, the classic Whoopi Goldberg movie, because they didn't want nobody to see a story about a black woman getting beat by her husband. They didn't want to see um, the backstory of a black girl getting abused by her stepdad, the incest of the backgrounds and things like that. It's just, but quiet as it's kept, black people have those monsters too in real life. There, a lot of us can vouch. Not me. My parents never abused me, but I've been abused as a child. And guess what? My abuser was a black person, was a black male. Um, um, there are a lot of stories of black children, even to this day. Even to this day, there are stories of black children to this day being abused, whether it's their parents, their uncles, their cousins, um, a family friend, a pastor, a preacher, being abused, hurt, neglected. It ain't gotta be SA, it ain't gotta be sexual, it can just be getting beat out their mind, being locked up in the house, can't go nowhere, emotionally abused. Like, that exists in our community. And for some reason, black people don't want they the only thing they want in media, in movies and film and television, is to be 100% positive and never highlight any of the negatives. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair, especially when it comes to media and storytelling and books and writings and movies and music. Like, we are not a monolith. We are a huge spectrum. And if you can watch a movie predominantly made by white people, predominantly written by white directors, authors, and they share their stories of when they get abused or hurt or beaten or downtrodden, or, we got to show our side too, because they exist. Monsters exist in every community, in every race, in every. I mean, look at the war that's going on right now. Look at the war that's going on right now. I'm not going into details, but there are monsters on both sides. Both sides. And if you want to counsel me before saying that, I'm sorry, but not everybody's the good guy. Both sides have. It's a spectrum. Life is a spectrum. So to say we should never show black men in this light, I'm sorry, but there are a lot of black men who abuse their women or their kids. It's facts. It's reality. Just like there's black women out there who abuse and beat. Like, we can't keep hiding this shit for forever and sweeping it under the rug and act like it just doesn't exist. Like, no, let's be realistic, people. Let's be realistic. And that's what Alice Walker was doing. She was sharing a story that was relevant to a lot of black women, and nobody wanted that. Nobody, they were mad when the book came out, to those who actually read it, and they were mad when the Steven Spielberg movie came out. And so I wasn't shocked when people were mad about the current musical film, but it just shows that the fake outrage, or the even might be real outrage, talking about, oh, why is there a gay scene? Why are these two women lesbians? Yada yada. It's like, tell me you did not read the book without telling me you didn't read the book. And it's funny how T.S. Madison, shout out to the great T.S. Madison, she said this on Twitter. It's funny how y'all are upset and saying that you don't want your kids to see The Color Purple because of the gay love story, but between the two women, but you're okay with them seeing The Color Purple movie when it shows a child being sexually abused by their stepfather and having children by their stepfather. Now, none of y'all complain about that, but y'all complain about the gay love story. Show me where your priorities lies, people. You have no issue seeing children being abused by their parents, but you draw the line at the gay lesbians. Like, just stupid, stupid, stupid. Oh, Stan, thank you for tapping in. We love you. We love you, Stan, forever. Love you, brother, and love Tiff. Dundee, no, Dundee, no. It's the hypocrisy of it all. You know what I'm saying? Alex, thank you for tapping in. If you're in here, love you as well. Um, so anyways, I just want to give y'all that little backstory disclaimer. Lady T is loves when I give history and facts about films and movies, and I love talking about it because I'm a big ass nerd. But I just want to put that out there before I give my review on the actual film itself. So Christmas Day, celebrating with the family, doing all that jazz. And then, of course, my sisters, they're big music nerds and movie nerds. And they was like, let's go see The Color Purple. Well, that bitch was sold out at every theater in Memphis on Christmas. So I think it was like 2 or 3 days after Christmas, we were able to snag some tickets. All of us went as a family to go see the movie. And the film itself, because I didn't see the Broadway play like my sister did. She went and saw the Broadway play. I just seen the Whoopi Goldberg, Steven Spielberg 1985 movie, and I seen this one. And so I'm only giving my judgment on it. I will say this musical was fucking amazing. It was. I did rewatch the classic Color Purple, and it was just as depressing and sad as I thought it was. Back in the day when I first watched it growing up, the musical is a more hopeful adaptation. It doesn't leave you in dire. It doesn't leave you depressed. Like, yes, it shows the reality of these characters, the reality and the struggle of Celie, and the things that she went through. And yes, there were some sad parts. There were some upsetting parts. They didn't shy away from the abuse and things like that. But at the end, this version, this musical version, shows the themes. I think the biggest theme was forgiveness, not forgiving your abuser for them, but forgiving the abuser to heal you. Um, um, I think that was the big story. I think community and sisterhood was a big part of the story. Um, and I'm not saying that the original book or the 1985 film did not convey that. It did. Those same things existed in both those mediums too, but it just showed a lot better in the musical, if that makes sense. Like, you left that musical feeling hopeful and feeling joyous and feeling happy, like your spirit arose by the end of the musical. And I'm pretty sure the songs helped. The comedy beats, it's not a comedy, but when you do plays and stuff, you throw in a little comedic jokes here or there. There are some comedic relief characters, and everything hits perfectly. The songs, man, like I said, I didn't watch it on Broadway. I didn't see the play when they were traveling from city to city, and they came in our city. So this was my first time hearing the songs. Um from the musical, and I would say it went by the musical went by fast. The songs were beautiful. They fit perfectly with the storyline. It wasn't like those musicals where, for example, Chicago, the old movie Chicago, that musical, it wasn't like that, to where they're talking, then all of a sudden everybody stops and then they just break out in song and dance. Like, they did that, but it just, the way the direction, the directors, they smoothly transition everything so perfectly in this adaptation. And I saw that the movie was like 2 hours and 20-ish minutes, but it didn't feel like it when you're in the theater. It didn't feel like the time flew by, the story flew by. There was no drag in it. There was no slow, boring. When you watch a movie that's 2 hours and 20 minutes long or more, there might be a section where you feel like, oh, the director could have just cut this scene. No, you couldn't cut none of these scenes. These scenes had to be, everything had to be in it, to make the story make sense, and to make the songs make sense, and to make um, the transitions and the plots make sense. And one thing I love about this musical is that they didn't play in the film. They edited so perfectly to where not you would not every song took over the whole thing. Like, they might just do one verse of a song in this musical instead of um, doing the whole 3 minutes and whatever, if you listen to the soundtrack. So it was just perfect. The acting. Give Taraji P. Henson all of the awards, all her flowers, as should Avery. Give Danielle Brooks all the awards. Matter of fact, they just released the Golden Globe nominations, because this is award season. January through March is award season, so we're gonna have the Emmys, the Grammys, the Tonys, the Oscars. They're all about to be released in the next coming months, and so they released the nominations for the, I believe it's the Golden Globes, yeah. And Danielle Brooks has been nominated for supporting actress for this film particular, and she deserved it. I hope she wins. I'm rooting for anybody who was nominated in this film. It was that fucking good. There was no weak actors in this movie, whether it was the young children versions of the characters or the adult versions. There were no weak actors. Even the villains, like, they were so great in their roles and charming, and you just love to hate them. And everybody who sang in the film, everybody who danced in the film, it was damn near perfect. It was amazing, top tier. I know it's just January, but I will say, when I do my ranking for top 10 of the year, because I missed the deadline from last year's top rankings. So this is gonna spill over to 2024. Mark my words, The Color Purple will be in the top 10. It may not be one because we still got a whole fucking year. This is just January. We still got the rest of the 12 the months of the year. And there's a whole lot of movies and content coming out. But I will say I enjoyed the fuck out of this film. I had a great time, and I can't wait till it come on streaming so I can rewatch it. It was such a good time, and I think it was a perfect. Again, I did not see the Broadway play, but I think if we're gonna sit here and argue and compare, um, um, the old film to this one, I think this compares perfectly to the older film, the 1985 Steven Spielberg films. This is on up there. And so yeah, I love this movie. I think everybody should go see it. If you have not seen The Color Purple, please go see it. Even if you're not black, like I know Color Purple is a black classic, but everybody should go see this film. It's a very, yes, it has some tragedy, yes, it has some sad points, but it is a very inspirational and good film. And you'll leave the theater smiling, crying, everything. So please check out. um if you have not seen the movie, go see it. Or if you just want to wait till it end up on streaming, that's good too. So I give this film 10 out of 10 perfect. 10 out of 10 perfect. Give the actors, the actresses, the director, the cinematographer, everybody all their flowers. Give them all the awards. Give them all the coins. A 10 out of 10 perfect, perfect reimagine of The Color Purple. And I believe Alice Walker, she's still alive. She was there at the movie premiere. I believe, I can't speak for her, but I believe she's probably proud of this production or this adaptation of her work that she has written. And I'm glad that she's still alive to see her work that she has written continue to live on from generations to generations to generations. So that is that on that review. So let's move on to the next one. And excuse me 1 second, y'all. Gonna take a tiny commercial break, which is like 2 seconds. Sorry, y'all. So let me do a countdown right quick because there's something I got to handle for a second before we go to our next thing. Okay, I'm back. Thank y'all for a quick commercial break. I'm sorry. I had an emergency phone call with my nephew, but everything's good. Everything's good. Life of an uncle. It's like having kids. It's like being a daddy. When they call, you got to answer because you never know. But that's cool. We back. Thank y'all. All right. Yes, yes, Dundee, you are right. Fantasia does need all the Oscars. All the Oscars. Oh my gosh, she was great. I know I didn't talk much about the characters in depth. Everybody did a great job, but yeah, woo, fantastic. I can't imagine. Even though I love Whoopi Goldberg's rendition back in the '80s of Celie, I can't imagine anybody else's Celie. Like Fantasia, her acting, the singing, that's Celie. That's Celie right there. Oh my gosh. So, our next topic for today is, speaking of musicals and movies and music and movies, I can't believe we're doing both music and movies in the same episode. Usually I rotate back to back. So, episode to episode. But today we are doing talking about music soundtracks that was made specifically for movies. I'm not talking about songs that they just slapped in a movie just to slap it in a movie, but songs that were written and made and recorded specifically for movies, but they've outlived the films that they were made for. So I love this topic. I kind of got inspired by this because for several reasons. One, um, there was there's this TikToker. Actually, he's more than just TikToker. He's an actual artist. He actually has original music on Spotify and stuff, but I love him so much. His name is Sick Kick. He does a lot of mashups and remixes to older songs. And last year he did a lot of remixes that I just absolutely love. And a couple of them were remixes and mashups to songs that came from movies. Like he did I always brag about this song. The mashup he did with My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion and I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. He mashed them together into one song. Love it. Please look that up on YouTube. It's amazing. That's my favorite song ever. I listen to it almost every day. But it's he did that, but he also did a remix to Aerosmith's Don't Want to Miss a Thing. And he also did a remix to something else. And I was like, he is slapping with this music, but every song that he did was a song based off of a movie soundtrack. And I just found it funny that a lot of these songs that we know and love and that we watch, I mean, that we sing all the time, or you go to a karaoke bar or you go to a sports game in the stadiums and they play music in the background. And it's songs that are timeless to us, songs that are timeless, that are unforgettable. You hear them at weddings still and things like that, but nobody talks about the films that they were based off of or they were written for anymore. Like the films have gone on and lived their life and no longer around, but the songs lived on. So that just gave me a nice topic idea. And I even Googled some examples that I forgot, but these are the songs that come to mind when I say music that outlived the films that they were based off of. And if you have any that I don't say that pops up in your head, please put them in the comments and I'll read them when I'm done with my list. Because there's a lot. There's a lot. And again, I'm not saying songs that you watch a movie on Netflix and they just slap a song in the film. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about directors or the studios call these music artists and say, we're making this film and we want this song for that film. And the artists go into the studio and making the song for that film. And they're supposed to be together. So here are the obvious of the list that I love. And I just find it funny that nobody talks about the movies anymore that they're based off of, but the songs live on. Um, and number one, gotta talk about my girl Celine Dion with My Heart Will Go On for the movie Titanic. Titanic is a classic. Don't get me wrong. It blew up Leonardo DiCaprio's career. He was already acting and doing movies way beforehand, but that's when everybody knew who Leo was for the Titanic. But nobody talks about Titanic no more. Nobody brings that shit up no more, really. Like it might come on TV and you might say, I'll just sit around and watch it, or you might skip that shit. But the song My Heart Will Go On is like engraved in everybody's brains and everybody's head. Like I said, you go to any karaoke night, somebody drunk is gonna sing that joker. You go to a wedding reception or, something like that, somebody's gonna sing that shit. Like that song has lived on way beyond that movie. Of course, nobody talks about this film, and rightfully so, because when you think about it, that film was kind of trash. But Armageddon, the movie Armageddon, And the song that's outlived that movie that people still sing, I still hear it at karaoke nights. I still hear it everywhere, and that is "Miss a Thing" by Aerosmith. I don't wanna miss a thing. Like Steven Tyler's voice. I just in that song, that ballad, it's like a rock ballad classic, and it was made for a movie that nobody remembers or talks about. So that definitely is one. Of course, if we're gonna go hip hop, Eminem's "Lose Yourself" for 8 Mile. 8 Mile, nobody talks about that film anymore. Nobody cares about it. It might be a classic, it might be a hood classic, it might be a hip hop classic, but nobody really talks about the film anymore. It's like gone on to obscurity. But that song, you hear that dun 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 dun, and everybody just wow loud and go crazy. Every concert, every club, every karaoke, every cruise, everybody, you hear that song, like that's still on people's number one gym playlists. You know, people going to the gym to lift weights. 9 times out of 10, any gym rat, any gym head that's lifting weights real heavy, trying to get those muscles, they got "Lose Yourself" in their playlist somewhere. It's somewhere in the ether of their Spotify. um, so that song has definitely lived on in infinity in its infancy. Of course, to the black culture, to the black people, Boys to Men, "Song for Mama" from the movie Soul Food. Every Mother's Day, every time someone mother passes away or anything, like "Song for Mama," that is a classic, classic song that has definitely outlived the film. And Soul Food is a good classic. It's a black classic, it's a hood classic, it's a beautiful film. But nobody really talks about the film, but everybody knows that song. When they hear that ballad, "Song for Mama," it is amazing. Other examples, and I had to Google these because, again, a lot of this stuff I either never seen the film or I don't remember the films, but I know the songs. Of course, if you're a Rocky fan, 1982's Rocky 3, we got "Eye of the Tiger" by Survivor. Definitely, definitely a timeless classic. Everybody, it's kind of like "Lose Yourself," that big motivational song that gets you pumped, gets you like motivated. "Eye of the Tiger," definitely, and of course a karaoke classic. um but you know, the Rocky films are classics. People still love the Rocky films and Sylvester Stallone, but nobody really just goes around and say, "Ooh, I'm in a mood for a Rocky 3." Like, no, nobody's talking about Rocky 3 in 2024, but we all know "Eye of the Tiger." We know that shit. Let's see. Let's see. Of course, Dolly Parton's "9 to 5," based off the film that she acted in. That's a classic song. If you hate working a 9 to 5, every once in a while you jam into that tune. Of course, Isaac Hayes in the theme song for Shaft. That's "A Bad Mother, Shut Your Mouth." A classic song that still lives on to this day. I didn't know this was based off a film, but "Rock Around the Clock" by Bill Haley and his Comets. Um, I think it's yes, the opening credits of a film called Blackboard Jungle that came out in 1955. Did not know that. Never seen the film. Never heard of the film until I started looking up soundtrack songs, movie soundtrack songs, and but I know "Rock Around the Clock." I know that song. That song has lived on beyond the movie. And then another great example is "Into the Groove" by Madonna. Another great song that I love and that I still listen to this day. Never heard of the movie Desperately Seeking Susan that came out in 1985 that song was made for. And then of course, back to the hood. Well, I'm not gonna say hood, but black classics for black people. Um, the entire soundtrack to Wait and Exhale, the entire soundtrack for The Preacher's Wife, um, especially the Christmas classic "Joy to the World" with Whitney Houston singing. Speaking of Whitney Houston, The Bodyguard. Nobody talks about The Bodyguard anymore, but we all know that classic song "I Will Always Love You," written by the great Dolly Parton, sang by Whitney Houston. That song has outlived the film. Nobody talks about that fucking film ever, but we all know that song, and that song will live on to eternity. That legacy of that song, Dolly Parton is still making money and living off that song alone. So those are my lists for the best movie soundtrack songs based off movies that outlive the movies that nobody talks about the movies anymore, but the songs still live on to its infancy. And that's just a few. There's a whole bunch others. I would say in about 10 to 20 years, I will say both Black Panther soundtracks, one and two. One, the first one by Kendrick Lamar, and the second one that has various other artists. I feel like certain songs from those soundtracks will outlive the actual film. And Black Panther 1 and 2 are wonderful, amazing Marvel films, but I do feel like certain songs from those soundtracks will outlive the movie in about 20, 30 years when the younger generations come around and nobody's talking about the movie anymore, but they will remember those songs, those soundtracks. Let me check the comments. Sorry, I've been neglecting y'all. Oh, Bosa got a good one. Shout out Bosa. Unchained Melody from the movie Ghost. Yes, yes, I actually do remember that. It's another movie from back in those days. Oh, duh, so stupid. Thank you for mentioning the movie Ghost, but another movie, Ghostbusters, the Ghostbusters theme song. People will remember that theme song more than they'll remember that movie. And that movie came out in the 80s. Um, and that movie has had several remakes and reboots, and nobody gives a damn about none of those. Not the original, not the sequel, not the remake with all the women, not the reboot, the current reboot that came out last year that people said was pretty good, but I think it went straight to streaming. But everybody knows the Ghostbusters theme song, like classic Halloween playlists. So yeah, um, that song, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters. That's gonna be living on forever. My nieces and nephews are gonna get married, have children. Those kids gonna have kids, and every Halloween you gonna hear who you gonna call? Like that's not going nowhere. That song ain't going nowhere. It's already proven that it has outlived the film that it's based off of. Ooh, good one. Yes. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. And Bosa put the theme to Pirates of the Caribbean. Yes. Um, yeah, yeah, that's a good ass theme song. The score, the entire score, that's gonna live on beyond. First of all, I think the character Jack Sparrow is gonna live on to infinity. Like when when the time comes that Johnny Depp transitions from the physical realm and passes away, hopefully no time soon, because I love him. He's a great actor, and I can't wait for his redemption story. Um, I feel like when he passed away, his character Jack Sparrow is going to be the one that every generation talks about, and he's been played a lot of iconic characters. That man has played a lot of iconic characters and a lot of iconic movies, but I think the character of Jack Sparrow will outlive his legacy as well as the music, the soundtrack to this. So I agree, both. So I like that. That's a great example. Speaking of bosses, give me a lot of ideas that's just popping off in my head. Speaking of Pirates of the Caribbean, there is a lot of Disney soundtracks, Disney in general, that I think the songs will outlive the movies. Like in 30 years, ain't nobody gonna be talking about the Lion King, the actual movie, but we gonna all be talking about that music. The Circle of Life is carved in song. It is carved in song. Elton John could retire and not make a single song. He could have been retired years ago just off the Lion King soundtrack alone. Elton John was in his motherfucking bag, as well as movies like The Little Mermaid, Robin Williams with Aladdin, with You Never Had a Friend Like Me. Like those songs, those soundtracks, they will definitely outlive the films. Disney can remake and reboot and rewire those films to oblivion and nobody will remember that shit. But you play a song, and the songs will still slap. They are classics forever, and they will live on for eternity. So I feel like 90% of Disney films, all their soundtracks will outlive the actual films themselves. When our generation is long gone and generation G, Z, B, X, Y come into play, they're not gonna remember these films like we do. The memories and the nostalgia is not gonna be around like we do, but the songs will live on. Bosa, I'm putting you a timeout. The Andy Griffith the show thing. Hey, if I was doing movies. If we're talking TV shows, the Andy Griffith show, the Golden Girls, the Adams Family, hell, Sanford and Son, the Sanford and Son theme song. Dun, 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 dun. Those theme songs will live on forever. Like when you hear that, boom, like don't my nieces and nephews don't know shit about these shows, but when they hear dun 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 dun, like those songs will live on forever, even long after these folks forget that these are TV shows. The Twilight Zone theme, those little notes, those little piano little notes will forever be carved in history. And this generation don't know shit about Rod Serling. They don't even know who that man is. They don't know nothing about Rod Serling, but they probably never seen an episode of The Twilight Zone. But they know that theme song. Bosa's coming with it. Bosa's coming with the. uh, thank you, Alex. Thank you for tuning in on the big screen. I'm on the big screen. Ah, shuck it now. Yes. Oh my gosh, Alex. Tarzan. Yes. Tarzan, Lion King, Hercules. Oh my gosh, the Hercules soundtrack. Hercules, Hunchback of Notre Dame, and Hunchback of Notre Dame. I think the Broadway musical also helped with the music from the movie outliving the film, because again, a lot of these young generations don't remember the 1990s film, but that music, Hellfire, the best Disney villain song of all time, Argue with Your Mama. Yes, even better than Poor Unfortunate Souls and Be Prepared. Hellfire. I'm just saying, these musics live on. They gonna live on forever. 90% of Disney music soundtracks gonna live on beyond the films. Folks ain't gonna remember the movies. They not gonna remember the actors who was the voices of these characters. They don't remember none of that shit, but they gonna remember the songs. We love you, Tiffany. Love you, Tiff. Thanks, Stan, for relaying the message. You are a queen amongst all of us hooligans. We love you. Shout out to the entire RWO family. They're like I always call them I always call them my Caucasian cousins, but everybody at RWO, them with the Wild Bunch, aka the Shenanigans, we all go hand in hand. We are like, ooh, oh my gosh, I can't wait for Daytona. I'm trying to get everybody to Daytona. I'm trying to convince everybody to go Daytona. If we all, me, Rock, Maki, Candy, and Dundee, make it to Daytona, and we see Stan and Tiff and Alex and just, oh, I'm gonna give all y'all a bear hug. I'm gonna give all y'all a bear hug. Oh, I hope we gotta see each other. I'm gonna hug the fuck out of all y'all. I love y'all. So shout out to all of RWO family, as well as the Shenanigans, aka formerly known as the Wild Bunch. Yeah, Bosa. Yeah, you understand. Sanford and Son. Classic. I grew up on Sanford and Son. My mom loved that show. Red Fox was her favorite comedian ever. And he reminds me a lot of my granddad. My granddad, oh my gosh. That yeah. Sanford and Son, a classic. Yes, Phil Collins. Phil Collins and Elton John, just based off those Disney films, can retire. They don't have to write another fucking song. The day they live. They ain't got a tour. They ain't gotta do no Las Vegas residencies. They ain't gotta do none of that shit. just based off them songs alone. They can retire and live their happy life. Yes, we love you, Tiff. Shout out to Tiff. We love you. Yes. The Shaft theme song. Uh-huh. Yes. Alex, I can't wait to bear hug you at Daytona. And bring Kyle. I want to bear hug Kyle. I'm in love with that bird. Birds are cool. I wish I could have a bird, but I can't. One for my allergies for some, and two because they said it's like living with a 3-year-old for 20, 30 years. I can't do that. I can't do that. That's not the type of responsibility I need in my life. So anybody else who have birds, I'm gonna love on your birds. Let's see. Is there any more music soundtracks that outlived their films? I know it's a lot. Oh, it's not Disney, it's DreamWorks, but the Prince of Egypt soundtrack, that shit still slaps to this day. And I haven't seen the movie Prince of Egypt since I was a kid, but that soundtrack, them songs, still classic. Oh, Google helped me out. The 50 Shades of Grey soundtrack. Never seen the film. Have no desire to see the film. Never hear anybody talk about the film, but the music, we still hear it to this day. I still hear it on the radio. Some of the songs based off of it. Um, oh, thank you, Google. My brain has just been the nostalgia. Speaking of Leonardo DiCaprio, everybody knows that he was in Titanic, and nobody cares about that film anymore. But the music from that film still lives on. But there's another film he was in back in the '90s that nobody talks about the movie, but the songs. And that is the Romeo and Juliet 1996 adaptation starring Leonardo DiCaprio. That soundtrack, oh my gosh, that soundtrack was amazing. I love that. In the movie, the Romeo and Juliet movie, I like this, it's modern for the times take of that story, but it was dope when it first came out, but nobody talks about that movie anymore. Nobody hardly remembers that film anymore, but the songs, another one, Space Jam. Now, we're not talking about the crazy guy, aka R. Kelly. We're not gonna support R. Kelly and his abuse, but he's locked up in jail right now. But I gotta say, the man was a genius when he did that soundtrack, when he wrote those songs for Space Jam. I Believe I Can Fly and all those songs still live on to this day. I'm sorry, that song was in every child elementary school graduation. Like some of the best, let's just go ahead and admit it. We can cancel these crazy abusive celebrities all we want, but some of them wrote some amazing songs. I'm sorry. And some of them wrote songs that outlive or outshine their careers than themselves. And to me, the whole Space Jam soundtrack, especially I Believe I Can Fly, outlived that movie, as well as other songs on that soundtrack that was super dope from different rappers like Method Man and Busta Rhymes and Coolio and stuff like Batman Forever soundtrack. I believe Seal, Kiss from a Rose, all that shit. Oh my gosh, yes. Nobody talks about Batman Forever. Nobody talks about that film, but those songs still live on past it. Of course, I did say The Bodyguard. Flashdance. How did I forget Flashdance? I How did I forget Flashdance? Oh, it's easy because the movie is unforgettable. I mean, the movie is forgettable. The movie, as classic as it is, nobody talks about it. Nobody remembers it. It came out in 1983, but the songs like "She's a Maniac" still live on. "What a Feeling" still classic. So those are the lists or the things that I could think of, or the things that Google helped me think of music that were based off films that outshine and outlive their source material. So that is it for this segment. Oh my gosh. Oh, yes, Kyle is also watching right now. Ah, hi, Kyle. Hi, Kyle. I love you. Thanks for tapping in. to Snake Cinema Podcast. Okay, so before we go, I still got some. Um, Again, I'm gonna put. We've already put in the chat earlier on this podcast, but I'm put right here on the screen under me in the banner. This is the GoFundMe for Stan and Tiff for their fight against breast cancer. So please, if you don't want to buy any snakes or anything during the auction that's happening February 10th on LMK Reptiles YouTube channel at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you're not going to buy anything in the auction, the very least, please donate a couple of dollars to their GoFundMe. So I put that right there in the banner. And again, this link is also in the description on all of my YouTube videos. I put that as a default setting in all the descriptions of my YouTube videos. So as soon as you click on my vlogs or whatever, you should see that link. Click on it, donate, and let's continue the fight against breast cancer. And also, I forgot to mention earlier in the podcast, there's another auction going on being hosted by Holly from Texoma Exotics. That's going to be January the 17th at 7:30 p.m. Central. So they're going to be animals auctioned off there, but the stuff I'm auctioning off is going to be on the one that Ken and the RWO family is doing. I'm supporting them. Again, you can auction for a Snake Cinema Podcast t-shirt with this same logo as my hoodie. So I just want to show y'all. So it's going to be in t-shirt form in different colors. I think it's black, heather gray, or blue that you can choose from. And then also it's going to be a backpack in the auction, but again, it won't have this logo on it. It will have the Jafar logo, the snake holding the camera. For Creative Reptiles, that will be on the backpack, is exactly identical to this. That will be in the auction, as well as a matching T-shirt. So those are the three items that I am donating to Stan and Tiff's auction, again, for February the 10th. So if you want to auction for all three, or if you just want to auction for two, I don't know how they're going to do it, but those are the items that I'm donating for my merch shop, just in case y'all missed that announcement earlier. Um, Today, usually at noon, Lady Tiz Exotics will go live for Reptiles and Cocktails, but she announced this morning that she will not, that there will be no episode today. You know, a lot of us are still upset, sad, and grieving Brian Barczyk. And so, her post pretty much said, go out, live life, enjoy life. And I agree with her. And I honestly, when I first woke up this morning, I did not feel like podcasting, but I'm glad I did because I feel a lot better. And me personally, mentally, if I take more than a week off doing this, I will fall off, and I don't want to fall off. I love the momentum I'm having, being consistent with this podcast, and I don't want to do a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks off of podcasting. I can't do it. It'll drive me crazy if I go more than a week off. So I woke up, I barreled through it. Shout out to Keys and Keisha. Last night's Hair Down Fridays was amazing as usual. If you missed the live, please check the replay. We had a lot of fun there. It was great to have a good laugh, despite all the bad news that our community was constantly getting hit with. And then tonight, I believe Wiz Constrictors is doing Sophisticated Ignorance. Normal time is 9 p.m. Central. My times, I think it's probably like 10 Eastern. I think so. But Wiz Constrictors, it's Sophisticated Ignorance podcast is tonight. Um, so please, let's support each other. Let's love on each other. Let's have a great Saturday, a great weekend. If you're cleaning snakes, feeding snakes, if you're going to any reptile shows, there are a couple of reptile shows going on this month. I think a lot of people are out in California right now for the Pomona Reptile Super Show. So I've been looking at people's posts on social media. I love the pictures. The snakes look amazing. The lizards look amazing. Pomona looks like fun. I might do Pomona the summer, the one that's in July. I'm trying to schedule and plan some things because I'm supposed to be taking my nephew to California anyway for his graduation gift. He's graduating high school. My very first nephew is graduating high school. I am old as fuck, but so I think I'm going to schedule that trip, the LA trip, around the time of Pomona so we can go there and check that out. And then definitely, I will be in Daytona, Florida, for that reptile expo. So, anyways, before we get out of here, anybody else? Oh shoot, I lost the comments. There we go. Anybody? Uh, love you, Stan. Love you, Tiff. Uh, let's see. Yes. I agree. Everybody. If you got a loved one, whether it's your wife, your girlfriend, your sister, your cousin, anybody, if any woman, hell, even me. I know I'm trans and I know I'm getting these bad boys cut off. Hopefully not this year, next year, but still everybody needs to get an appointment, get checked out because this shit ain't no joke. Breast cancer is no joke. My auntie was diagnosed last year. Fortunately they caught it early enough and the radiation treatments worked to where she no longer has it, but it's a possibility that it could come back. I pray not, but that was a scary time for us when she was first diagnosed last year. And um, it's just, and it's still, even though she no longer has it, they the chemo therapy did work for her because they caught it early. She still, the chemo fucked her up so bad that she is still like weak in the body. Like seeing how that stuff affected her, my aunt, it's just it was sad, and it's still like she's still sore in most areas, especially around this part, to this day, from the treatments. Like the treatments, from what I've heard, between my aunt and my granddad who also fought cancer, when he was still alive, the chemo treatments are just as bad as the disease itself because it's taking a toll on the body. So again, every 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 woman, every shit. I'm not going to say every woman, every human needs to go to the doctor. Don't wait till you're 50 or 60 or 70. Go to the doctor now and get checked for everything. All the guys, prostate cancer, please go get checked, go get examined. Everybody needs to go get examined. Make your appointments. Because it's better to do it sooner than later. The whole pancreatic cancer and all the other stuff, like check, go get a doctor's appointment as soon as you can and get checked. And that goes for everybody. And again, like we said in the beginning of the show, fuck cancer all day. Um, but thank y'all so much. Yes, as Stan says, enjoy life today. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow's never promised. Yes, and we will leave it on that note. Love you, Stan. Love you, Tiff. Love you, everybody. Everybody who's tapped into the episode. Next week, the topic will be, I'll be sharing my most anticipated movies of 2024. A lot of trailers have already been released of movies coming out this year, whether it's horror films, whether it's the superhero actions, whether it's comedies, whether it's the artsy dramas that you see in the film festivals. There are a lot of trailers and a lot of movies coming out for 2024. And so I will give you my list of the most anticipated films that I can't wait to come out and be released this year. So that would be next week's episode. But again, thank you everybody for tuning in to this episode of Snake Cinema Podcast. I appreciate y'all. If you haven't seen The Color Purple, please go out and watch that movie. I recommend it. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. And if you're watching the playback of this podcast, if you missed the live, comment below. Put in the comments your favorite music from movie soundtracks that outlived the movie that they were based off of, since that was today's topic. Anyways, I love y'all. I will see y'all next week, next Saturday, for my most anticipated films of 2024. This has been your host, Prince Elias, for Snake Cinema Podcast, and we will check y'all out next Saturday. Peace out, everybody.